Hello from Japan. Important messages tonight. As you know, Texas has been invaded, as has the United States in general. One of the main forcing actions, or let's say actors doing that, has been Governor Greg Abbott, which I have said from day one, back when it was not popular. I was saying it over and over and over that Greg Abbott was World Economic Forum, and he's basically the Texas sector chief for the World Economic Forum and the invasions. That has proven to be true. I think all reasonable people at this point actually see it. And so, what do we do next? My friend, Doc Pete Chambers, former Green Beret and also medical doctor, trauma surgeon, is running for governor. We've been all over that border. We've been so many places together on the border, late at night, sun coming up, helicopters over Colony Ridge, the whole works. In fact, I've been across the entire southern border, and a lot of that on the Mexican side, but the entire U.S. side. And I'm very familiar with it, as is Doc Chambers, who is running for governor. I've spent a lot of time with Doc, a great deal of time with Doc. I've been in quite a few of his church sermons that he teaches up in near Dripping Springs. And we've driven all the way to Florida before in his pickup truck with his dog, meeting people that were related to other matters that the United States is dealing with. Bottom line is, Doc Chambers was a career soldier. He has been pushing back hard on the death jabs and other very important matters, pushing back very hard on the border issues and other matters. And I mean, he's over the target. The globalists are trying to induce Doc now, trying to get him to take another job, some sort of cush job with the railway or some other as a railroad commissioner or these sorts of things. They've offered him all sorts of inducements because now he's become a forcing action. In other words, he's actually affecting the battlefield at this point. And a lot of people think that Doc actually has a chance to win as Texas governor. Actually, if he didn't have a chance, they wouldn't be offering him these things. At the end of the day, it's very important to pay attention to Doc Chambers. He actually has been all over the United States and all over the world in a lot of war, but also in a lot of other actions, other forms of warfare. He's very familiar with information war. When you get him rolling on information war, if you can get his attention for a couple of hours and get him to explain his views of information war, it is pretty unbelievable. Like, he sees it from a different perspective than I do, and it's extremely useful perspective, which I've incorporated it into my studies. So he's very familiar with information war. He lives information war, and he's been spent a lot of time in kinetic wars, both making holes in people and patching holes in people, because he was actually a Green Beret doctor, and he's done some other interesting things that the world may never know about. But this is your man, Doc Pete Chambers. Clearly, the Abbott oligarchical system is concerned about Doc Chambers, and if I did not need to be here in Japan, I would be back there with him right now. In fact, during those floods, the recent flash floods, of course, Doc was in the middle of that, like he always is. He was also in the middle of the North Carolina floods. And I asked him, I had just landed in Japan when those floods were happening, do I need to come back from Japan? He said, no, by the time you get back to Texas, we will have, had things sorted out, which they did. I mean, it was a terrible tragedy. But Doc has been in a lot of these things, and not from the headquarters. He's done that too, but he gets out there and he treats people right now when they have problems. And so at some point I'll end up with him down in the Darien Gap. He's very familiar with the other problem sets that Texas is dealing with. And anyway, bottom line, I'm going to put his Twitter feed or his X feed underneath this, and some of my thoughts on Doc Chambers. But the best actually is to just get them from him. At the end of the day, Greg Abbott, that guy is a traitor. Doc Chambers is a patriot. Who do you want?